Hello there and welcome back to another review. So today I thought we'd crack on reviewing some of the movies from this Shaw Brothers Volume 2 box set. I'd imagine you probably thought I'd forgot all about getting through the movies from this, but I hadn't. I promise you I hadn't. But today I thought we'd have a look at The Kid with the Golden Arm, made back in 1979. This is another Venom mob movie directed by the classic Shaw Brothers veteran that is Chang. Now what is interesting is Five Deadly Venoms, Five Venoms will always probably be, if nothing else, the most famous of all the Venom mob movies. What is the best Venom mob movie is all subjective. I mean, my personal favourite, as I've mentioned before in other reviews, is Crippled Avengers. But Five Deadly Venoms is probably, if people have seen only one Venom mob movie, then it usually is Five Deadly Venoms. But this film here, for the most part, is actually relatively simple. But the whole setup, I mean, it's sort of like a quest movie with this group of people who must protect and deliver some gold. And what is great with this film, talking of the Venoms, Mang in this in particular, it really does show how versatile the guy is, because in this movie, as being the antagonist, the Venom mobs usually, the characters, they sometimes took turns playing the baddies or the goodies, like Philip Kwok and Sheng usually on the good team. But Lo Mang, he's been comic relief, he's been sort of the sturdy, muscly, chivalrous hero, and here he gets a go at being the antagonist, and he does a really, really good performance in this one. And it's worth watching just for that alone, as Lo Mang as the Kid with the Golden Arm. But as I say, it shows that he's ranged, that he can play someone chivalrous and courageous like Toad in Five Venoms. He has comedy chops like we saw in parts of Invincible Shaolin, and in this movie he shows he can play the villain and like the antagonist too. So it really does, Lo Mang really does have all bases covered. One could argue the setup to the movie is very simple, and it does go down a somewhat comic book route in a way much like sort of Crippled Avengers did, but it's what makes the movie so much fun. It's what makes The Kid with the Golden Arm so much fun, and just worth your time, and definitely one worth checking out. And also with the Venom like movies, sometimes it isn't the fighting, even the story, the sets or anything like that, but it's the characters that make the Venom mob movies so entertaining. And every one of our members brings something to the party, and it's worth noting that in this movie we also have Wei Pei as well. But that is one of the appeals of, I mean, people, regardless of the fighting, regardless of the choreography, each one of the Venom mob brings something to it. Everyone we all have our favourite Venom, we all have our favourite Venom mob movie. But they were, like I mentioned before, they were sort of Chang, the director, they were sort of his version, his kung fu version, if you will, of like a boy band. You know, you got the cute one, you got the muscly one, you got sort of the heroic one. They sort of covered all bases, and you got like sort of the silent one, the quiet one. But as I say, that there's like a great handful of Venom mob movies, and each one in their own right is worth checking out. None of them are like bottom of the barrel sort of kung fu movies. They're all really worth checking out in their own right, but we'll get into Kid with the Golden Arm today. So we start with meeting son Chien playing Yang Hu Yan, and he's got like 200,000 taels of gold, and he works for the Huawei Security Bureau and is delivering it to some refugees. And this guy runs into him all bloody and beaten, which Son takes as a warning from the Deadly Valley and a challenge. We learn there are 4 masters and leaders, and the Grand Master is the Golden Arm Kid. And you see what I mean about this, like, where it sort of goes down sort of a comic book route. It's really simple, but like I say, a bit like how Crippled Avengers was, where it sort of exaggerates everything's sort of blown out of proportion, everything, like the characters are larger than life. And that's why, like Kid with the Golden Arm, like there's a lot to enjoy here. And it all of which works in the film's favour. So I'd say Lo Mang is the Golden Arm Kid, Lu Feng is Silver Spear, and guess who the other one is? Who is a kung fu performer from Shaw Brothers who I've probably mentioned more than any other? If I'm reviewing a Shaw Brothers movie, this guy will always get a mention. He's more often than not the antagonist or the villain, or like an evil Manchu general, whatever it may be. But it's none other than your friend and mine, Wang Lung-wei, otherwise known as Johnny Wang. He's in this movie as well. I mean, go figure, right? Go figure, it's a Shaw Brothers movie with Wang Lung-wei. Of course he's going to be in it. As I say, it just makes sense. So he plays Iron Robe, and he does like a fan technique, and we also have Brass Head as well. And I do love how we get introductions over the credits coming up. So we have Sheng here as one of the scouts who uses like dual-wielding axe, which, to be honest, Sheng, like the Venom mob, doing like dual wielding axe, it's worth watching it for in this movie for that alone. Obviously, Lo Mang is the antagonist, having a real blast here. But Sheng in this with his he's got twin axes, and it's just that alone is enough to it's just cool in itself, and it's enough to have my interest. So he is sort of short axe, and him and his buddy Long Axe run into the 7 deadly hooks who don't speak. And I love how like Long Axe, played by I think it's Sun Shu-pei, he's like, what? He goes, what I'm worried about, it's just they're gonna die as dumb fools if they don't say anything, because they run into these people that don't actually speak anything. It's like, well, we're about to kill them, but I'm just worried they're just gonna die dumb if they don't say anything. We also have Heroine Lang, who runs into Iron Robe. Philip Kwok saves her, playing Hightower. And his role, Philip Kwok's sort of role in this, he's sort of like the drunken master beggar type role. He's sort of taking on that sort of Yun Su Tin sort of role, not obviously the elderly, but he's sort of taking on that kind of aesthetic here. He's sort of like this delusioned anti-hero, a bit like how Damien Lau's character, if you cast your mind back in my last rough chivalry review, a bit like that, a bit of a sort of like an anti-hero here. So at least his character does have themes of that. He does have sort of some of them traits. And he plays like this drunken sheriff. What I love about the Venom mob movies, especially all the classic ones, is that each, like I've mentioned, each member brings something to it. Wei Pei is not in all of them, and sometimes he's not looked upon as like sort of an official Venom mob member, because he's not necessarily in all of the Venom mob movies. But if you want like a classic lineup Venom, then Wei Pei would be in it. But when you're talking sort of the Venom mobs, the Venom mob as we know them, or as I know them without Wei Pei, each one of them brings something to it. Each one of them adds something to the movie, and that's why I say they're all enjoyable. Every single one of the Venom mob movies are definitely worth checking out. As I say, like Chang-Chi's Kung Fu version of a boy band, we all had our favourite movies of Venom, we all have our favourite members. So as I say, Wei Pei is in this movie, who Lu Feng tries to ambush and in disguised as an old man, and out of nowhere what I love is this pair of hands just come right through the wall and hits him with this black sand palm technique. So Wei Pei manages to escape, and Kwok turns up, his usual cocky self, and they want him to join their gang, and he's like, yeah, I would join on one condition. I would join your gang on one condition. It's like, as long as I can be the boss, and all your men must die. Now that's one. I say Philip Kwok, usually the hero, usually the protagonist, usually the guy that's sort of on the good team, or like I say, I always view Philip Kwok as sort of the central lead figure of the Venom mob. Like he's the one who sort of keeps it all together. But as I say here, just cocky self, they want him to join. It's like, yeah, I'll join, but you've all got to die, So Wei is a good guy who is helping Sung and like Long Axe, Short Axe and the convoy escort this gold. So that's really what we're looking at here. It's just escorting this gold through this valley. And that's all that's really going on. But here he got hit. Wei Pei got hit by these palms. He thinks that he only has like 2 days left, and the film just throws things at you out of nowhere. For example, the enemy digging a tunnel to get the loot with Brass Head coming out of the blue. Love how Long and Short Axe are always sort of comparing sort of how many of the enemy they've killed as well, which always reminded me a bit of sort of the end of Two Towers, sort of when Legolas and Gimli are sort of counting how many orcs they've slayed and like how many orcs they've killed and taken down. Long Axe and Short Axe have that sort of thing going on here as well, which is quite awesome. So they're sort of tallying up how many of the enemy they've taken down. Nothing wrong with a bit of friendly competition, is there? So Iron Robe makes off with a horse and cart and the loot, and Kwok jumps on board, to which the cart eventually loses a will. Lo Mang, our kid with the golden arm, turns up, and they are like sort of no match for him. Then we probably get the best fight of the movie so far, with Philip Kwok taking on Wang Lun Wei's fan technique. And what is unfortunate is I felt personally they killed off Iron Robe way too early. Like he could have easily been like a villain through the bulk of the movie, but the Kwok actually sort of kills him off really early on. I mean, if Wang Lun Wei's in the film, you usually expect him to last at least until sort of the third act, but here he doesn't stand much of a chance actually, so he actually gets, like I say, got rid of quite too early. Like he could have easily been a villain through the bulk of the movie, but I'd say Kwok actually finishes him off. So Lo Mang decides to abandon the gold as he can't carry it, which is fair enough. He's being realistic. He's like, I can't carry that gold. There's no way I'm gonna get that back on my own. So he sort of abandons it. And Kwok saves Wei Pei from Silver Spear, that's Lu Fang's character, and runs off with him and goes to burn him as he's Kwok goes to burn Wei Pei as he's been hit by the sand palm. So he's thinking he'll make, like, sort of half joking, but he's like he'll make the best poison, but he's doing it to sort of cure him and help him, of course. And Wei plays hero Lai, by the way, who for some reason, when Better says he has a score to settle with Kwok as he has insulted him, but it's like, Kwok's basically just saved your ass, man. He just saved your ass. So naturally, of course, the Deadly Valley has laid traps for Sun and his team. Sun Chien, usually more often than not, in the majority of the Venom mob movies, I mean, he has a very prominent role in the 5 Deadly Venoms, but a lot of the time he is sort of the backseat quiet one, Sun Chien, but when he starts kicking and he gets moving in the fight scenes, you really do see what the guy can do. So our crew get to this town, and at the inn with the loot, and some guards guards fetch some water from 3 towns away, but the Deadly Valley, then pesky fiends, has poisoned it and drove away the villagers. And what I love about Philip Kwok in this one is that he's actually playing it sort of light-hearted, in a way, like he's almost sort of the comic relief in this movie, Philip Kwok, whereas most others in the movie are sort of playing it straight. So as always, his performance really stands out. And so, as I say, Philip Kwok always, by and large, like I say, sort of like the central hub figure that keeps all the Venom mob together and keeps it sort of ticking over nicely. And he ends up saving them again from some poisonous powder at the inn, and they spend the night on the street. 2 of Sun Chien's men decide to split as they're like, look, this isn't worth it. Right, doing this job is not worth it. I don't care what you're paying us. They decide to get the hell out of there. Like, this isn't worth it. And they go to take some of the gold and take off whoever they're killed, which makes Philip Kwok's character all suspicious. Lu Fang meets Kwok, who tells him the chief wants to fight him, and I love how he says, he comes up to him, he's like, the chief wants to fight you, and he's like, he reckons he can beat you in 4 hours. And there was me thinking he reckons he can beat him, in a quick time. But I was thinking like, allow yourself a bit of time, yeah. But he's like, he reckons he can beat you in 4 hours, like as though that's something to brag about. I mean, that's one hell of a long fight they've got going on. And as I say, there was me thinking he wanted a long fight. So all the guards tell Sun, look, we're going to die. We're out here. This is too dangerous. Long Axe and Short Axe get ambushed by Silver Spear and his men while sort of scouting ahead. And like I mentioned, don't ask me why, but there's just like something so undeniably cool about Sheng wielding twin axes. It's just the fact that is it, of all the weapons they could have chose, the fact they have 2 people in this movie, Long Axe and Short Axe, and Sheng is one of them. It's just awesome. It's just absolutely awesome. Unfortunately, Long Axe gets absolutely brutalised by Silver Spear and his darts. Then all you need to do as a viewer at this point is sit back and watch a great, amazing fight between Spear and twin axes. It's poppy, it snaps, it's fluid, and honestly, it's worth watching the film for alone. It's an amazing, amazing fight that we get here. And they both actually end up killing each other, and they both drop down dead when about to face off again. Short Axe actually gets speared from the back, and in brutal sort of gory Chang fashion, he actually brings the spear through his body to kill Lu Fang. But when Lu Fang and Chang go at it in this movie, it probably is the standout fight of the movie, at least up to that point, because it's a fantastic showcase for the two. So of our motley crew, we know at this point we only have 4 left now, and that is Chief Yang, we have Tao, Hero Lai, and Hero Lang. So we've got Wei Pei there, Philip Kwok there, Sun Chien, and Hero Lang. So Lai meets the Golden Arm Kid, though he's no match for him. He actually sort of coils his sword around his arm and then uses it like a skewer to sort of jab him in the stomach, which, let's be honest, is quite an inventive kill, even for a kung fu movie. What I also like about this movie is that for the vast majority of it, it seems like the baddies and the villains, a bit like in Empire Strikes Back, but in this movie, what I love about it is it always seems to me like you think it's sort of somewhat predictable and going by the numbers, but what I love is it seems like the baddies and the villains always sort of have the upper hand. Like they're sort of one step ahead, and sort of they're always being a bit more inventive on what they're going to do next. And like I say, Sun Chien, his crew that were going to help him transport the gold, they've sort of copped out, they've gone off, they're like, this isn't worth it, let's not bother. So it ends with Sun Chien, Kwok, and Mang meeting together, and Kwok Lo Mang meeting together, and Kwok goes at the kid first, and watch how he just obliterates Yang's swords that he's using. And I know I say it in almost every Venom movie review, but when you look at Philip Kwok's weapon work, I mean, it's just fantastic stuff as always. It's like you could put any weapon in this guy's hands. I mean, we all know he's an amazing acrobat and the stuff he can do, and he's got great charisma. But when he's doing his weapon work, Philip Kwok, I mean, just great stuff. Using like these short daggers, and they have chains on the end that gradually get longer and longer. Somehow Kwok is able to blind him by sort of spitting wine into the kid's face, and Yang is like, kill him, will you? He's like, kill him, will you? Like, just kill the guy. Kwok refuses, and when you talk about curveballs, this one throws a huge one at you at this moment. Like, it, you know, most kung fu movies, classic kung fu movies, do have a twist. This one throws one. It's up there in terms of twist. So you have Sun Chien, and then out the sort of the container, sort of the treasure chest, outbursts another Sun Chien, like from where the treasure is, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Right, there's two Sun Chiens, and this guy kills Yang and reveals himself to be the Ironfoot Kid. Like, well, of course, right? We got the kid with the golden arm, and now we've got the Ironfoot Kid. The guy we thought was Yang was like his stand-in, like Sun Chien's character. And they planned to sort of keep the gold, and he couldn't compete with the Golden Arm Kid, and changed his name and founded the Security Bureau. I won't go too into it, but that's sort of the gist of it. So Ironfoot has to take on the Golden Arm, even though he's sort of like, I mean, Golden Arm at this point is blinded, like, because as I say, Philip Kwok sort of spat wine at him, and he's just totally blinded. And Kwok has been injured and sitting on the side, though he only got hit in his wine pail, so it wasn't like a fatal wound. And Kwok and Sun Chien here at the end completely go to town with their leg work. Lo Mang actually kills him by putting his hand and fist right through his stomach in typical like bloodshed Chang fashion. There's also an effort here to make a twist in a kung fu movie, like a Venom mob movie. I mean, the twist for, like I mentioned, for a kung fu movie, for a Venom mob movie, it's like the Five Deadly Venoms. It does sort of keep you guessing, but about halfway through Five Deadly Venoms, you sort of guess it anyway. The twist at the end, nobody could see coming. It does completely come out of nowhere. And for the twist, rating that on its own, it's not a bad one. It's not bad. If like at first it just seems a bit of a confusing one, because you're like, what is going on? There's two Sun Chiens on screen, have no idea. And it ends with Miss Lang stabbing the crap out of the Golden Arm Kid, and then her and Kwok going off, and he basically wants to get drunk, and that sort of concludes the Kid with the Golden Arm. But the setup is simple. It's not a training movie, not a master student movie, but what you get here is a really fun Venom mob movie, and it's definitely one worth checking out. As I say, all the Venom mob movies are fun. They're all entertaining, but this one as well is just, you know, it's definitely up there. Nothing else, just watch it for a long, short acts, as they make it so much fun. And Lo Mang, as I mentioned, handles the villain role really well, and it's worthy addition to anybody's Kung Fu archive. But I will be carrying on with the Shaw Brothers Volume 2, but as I like saying in loads of my reviews, just bear with me, loads of movies to get through. But if you love your Venom mob, you love your Kung Fu, make sure to go and check out a like sort of comic booky-esque, over-the-top film that is Kid with the Golden Arm. So thank you very much indeed for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all that heavenly glory.